Pandemic restrictions, wreaking havoc on global supply chains.
We have this much of stock left. We are sorry, it's locked down.
Global capacity for air cargo drops by 42% after more than two-thirds of passenger planes were grounded.
The prices increased close to 30 to 40%, and our volume actually dropped close to 60%.
Since February, over 150,000 shipping containers cancelled, just on the Europe-Asia route, and double the number of people globally at risk of going hungry.
Ask yourself, what are you doing to create resilience in your supply chain?
We had to rebuild the supply chain coming back into Singapore.
Is it worthwhile commercially? We don't know yet.
Managing border closures, price and production risks to keep food on your plate. From Ghana in West Africa to Singapore. A food company in Singapore depends on farmers 11,000 kilometers away for the source of a special ingredient to make their noodles, shakes and soups. The Bambara groundnut.
The Bambara groundnut can be harvested 2 times in a year. So we need to give today our farming communities the volume we are going to ask them to ship about 6 months in advance, sometimes even 1 year in advance.
The products are mainly sold in Singapore.
So we are in our headquarters here in Singapore. This is essentially the heart of our operation. Everything starts from here by us thinking through as to how we go about redesigning food to fulfill our purpose, and that is making it nutrient-rich rather than calorie-dense. Once we have a specification derived of the crops that we want to use, we then reach out to farming communities through our network and through our ecosystem. Once we actually have access to these crops, we then actually start shipping that into our factory in Malaysia, where we actually start producing on large scale.
What if Foods created its own supply chains, which worked well until COVID-19 hit?
Coming in on short notice. As you guys know, we have a supply chain challenge.
And then, every stage was affected.
That was a big problem for us to actually bring the crops to the border and then actually load it onto a ship and then make it move over to this part of the world. Our buffer stocks were at the location, in the villages per se. So it took us clever rerouting. We had to ship it to Europe and then to Asia, rather than from West Africa straight to Asia. That took us twice as long, or even sometimes thrice as long. And then we run into the circuit breaker, we run into our factory being shut down by the MCO in Malaysia. Then we run into not being able to actually export from Malaysia into Singapore. So there was a huge disruption with regards to our supplies to our customers, particularly in the hotel, restaurant and catering segment here in Singapore. And all of a sudden, we basically said to them, look, hang on guys, we have this much of stock left. We are sorry, it's locked down.
What if Foods had to take stock quickly?
We reacted very early on, mid-March, end of March. We sat down and said, okay, if this is going to hit us badly, how do our cash reserves look like? What about our strategy? What is it that we can realistically fulfill? And that meant for us to basically, as owners of the business, come together and essentially raise capital to not pass on a higher price to consumers. In terms of doing things differently, probably building larger buffer stocks, both for raw materials, packaging materials, as well as finished product.
With COVID-19, scenario planning becomes all the more important. Scenario planning is all about looking at what are the potential alternative future outcomes, and therefore how companies should really react in accordance to those outcomes, and then getting quite precise about what do they do with regards to investments, M&A potentially, transformation, and all the kind of restrictions that's imposed, but also the opportunities that is provided by COVID-19.
A wholesale meat importer, Chisong Foods, was in a better position when COVID-19 struck. Worried about early reports of the virus, they made plans.
CS Food has been established for the past 32 years, importing meats from all over the world, mainly from USA, South America, Australia, New Zealand, via sea. So during the circuit breaker, we have to forecast a lot because for Brazil, for example, we have to buy 2 months earlier for the shipment to arrive. So during January, we do know that COVID-19 was already very widespread in China. So we had to look forward and plan more, just in case globally they really do shut down. But fortunately, they didn't shut down.
But no amount of planning could prevent what happened next. A 60% drop in business, as the restaurants they supplied could only offer takeaways during the circuit breaker. They had to find ways to make up for the losses.
So what we did was to allocate the whole resources to build things like live streamings and group buys to actually increase the business. It was a big change for us because from B2B, our customers usually order in quantities, whereas for B2C, they will have in tray forms. So more varieties, more smaller packs, which also increases my production's capacity also. So they need more time to do the packing. Even the logistics is also different because we usually deliver in trucks and 10-footers and 12-footers, whereas now we have to individually go to homes. So that increases the time to delivery as well. It is really based on our existing resources, and they had to work overtime. And now we're actually running on a 24-hour capacity.
Another player in Singapore's food supply chain is a logistics company, PLG. They provided storage for Singapore's national stockpile of food during the circuit breaker.
This is our frozen storage, temperature minus 20 degrees. We have close to 900 pallets of frozen food, ranges from chicken wing, drumlet, beans and also broccoli. Out of all the food storage, we have close to 50% of them are frozen, delivering to the supermarket.
The other 50% of food supplies is stored in their warehouse. This includes 40,000 tons of rice and other dry goods.
Most of the food products are coming in by sea. It should last 1 year to 2 years.
But a big challenge is ahead for PLG, securing the supply chain for a most anticipated product.
Is it worthwhile commercially? We don't know yet.
As COVID-19 restrictions ease in Singapore, What If Foods is thinking about resuming a project they had planned before the circuit breaker. The development of a plant-based milk from the Bambara groundnut.
We have identified a lab process to actually get the product into a plant-based milk. However, we recognize the fact that we are missing the lipids part, so essentially the oils part that makes the milk creamy and tastes nice as well. However, just as we went into this crisis of COVID-19 and subsequently into the lockdown and the circuit breaker, we found ourselves locked out from possibilities to further conduct trials and collaborations in other parts of the world.
A top priority now, finding a partner with R&D facilities in Singapore. What If Foods turned to a Swedish oil company, AAK, whose hub for Asia is in Singapore.
I think what is missing a little bit is the texture and the mouthfeel, the creaminess of a milk.
This plant-based lipid will help you in terms of flavor release, improving the color and overall mouthfeel. So let us try.
We are scaling up now. We went into a pilot scale, and now we are making actually the plant-based milk in the hundreds of liters. As we now move forward, where we are at right now is that we actually develop a further supply chain into Singapore, and we are in early discussions with collaborators to then produce them in massive, big scale.
We've been a beneficiary, I think, to some extent in ASEAN. When I say we, I mean ASEAN, in terms of the reconfiguring of the global supply chains, right? So some of that trade flow has come through here. We've seen companies and factories relocating to certain countries, particularly in Vietnam, in Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia. And I think Singapore has always been a hub.
But to make this new product, Watu Foods have to ensure supplies of raw materials.
It took us probably about a month or 6 weeks before we actually found the right supply chain. We had to rebuild the supply chain coming back into Singapore, because there were essentially a few businesses that had the license to actually bring in the products into Singapore. 2020 will go down in history as the most costly year. Every supply chain that we have costs us literally 2 times or 3 times as much as previously.
I will urge companies to think about our resilience of supply chain. Super important. Most geopolitical scenario planning events tell us that supply chains might break. So therefore ask yourself, what are you doing to create resilience in your supply chain?
During the first wave of COVID-19 restrictions, logistics company PLG could not bring in any cargo via air. The situation is improving.
Air freight is the most disrupted transportation mode we are running, maybe at 10% capacity. The prices increase close to 30 to 40%, and our volume actually dropped close to 60%. We used to have 100 shipments per day. Now we are experiencing about 60 shipments per day. And also a lot of customers chose to move by other mode of transport, such as rail freight and also sea freight.
The jump in air freight prices, however, has helped PLG's warehouse storage business.
Lower frequency in air freight create a higher demand in storage. So they store more to curb the air freight fast transit and fast frequency demand.
The next thing PLG is looking to transport, the world's most anticipated product, a COVID-19 vaccine. In order to maintain vaccines at optimum quality, they're looking to move it by air.
So the current option is using insulated boxes with dry ice. These can transport minus 20 degrees. This current option is not robust enough for us to transport the vaccine yet. So we are exploring with airlines, this pharmaceutical owner, of how we can achieve minus 80 degrees below zero. Is it worthwhile commercially? We don't know yet. I think in terms of a learning curve, I believe we should learn. If we learn that, we probably can go into pharmaceutical logistics.
Chisong Foods is hoping to expand its repertoire. The meat wholesaler has been branching out, creating a whole range of new products.
So for B2C, currently we are doing retail packs on premium meats, marinated, dairies, and also finger foods. But we're going to step up a notch to make it a little different. So what we do here is we will be launching a series of our own in-house recipes where we meticulously craft for home users.
Restaurant quality dishes like braised lamb shank and duck leg confit are in the pipeline. And these, according to Jeffrey, can be whipped up by anyone at home within 10 minutes.
This is what it looks like in a frozen state. There's QR code we will let them scan, and then basically they can show a short video of how this can be prepared.
Existing clients have been helping to test the new offerings.
It's 5 a.m. My driver just unloaded our goods. Here with us we have Shakira's, which is our existing customers. They are a wet market owner, and they serve all the fresh meats, fresh chicken in the market. Right now, CS Foods and Shakira's work very closely together to share with us what they have moved, and we will do all the R&Ds to even display what the public actually really wants. We have a section here that is actually for our product that is more ready to eat and ready to cook under our brands. So we work with them very closely to come out with products that they themselves know what will be moving because they are on the ground. We are moving away as not just an importer of meats, but a food solution provider to the home users and to our customers.
A recipe for success, mixing technology with opportunity.
So we want to move people away from the idea of, hey, frozen good is not a good item.
COVID-19 restrictions have been easing. Businesses have been reopening and expanding. Chisong Foods has opened a central kitchen, hoping to offer a bigger menu of ready-to-eat products. It took a month to get the central kitchen up and running. At the heart of the facility, technology that freezes meat without losing freshness and taste.
So welcome to my central kitchen. So for our ready-to-eat products, we do not use any preservatives. We use a technology called cook chill. This is to ensure that there is low bacterial growth. So once this is cooked, we will immediately put it into the flush chiller. So when that happens, when we regenerate from a frozen item to a cooked item, we still get the same taste. So we want to move people away from the idea of, hey, frozen good is not a good item. That's a wrong concept. Home users, when they really try our product, then you realize, hey, actually, there is such solutions available which has a longer shelf life and really much tasty and also healthy.
On top of its retail products, Chisong Foods wants to use its central kitchen to serve its F&B customers.
To future-proof our business, in the B2B aspect, we take over 80% of our customers' kitchen operation. So they do not need to do the cutting, they do not need to do the cooking. We do most of it here. They just need to regenerate and serve. With or without COVID, these are Singapore F&B long-term challenges like manpower and rental problems and trying to scale the business. This kind of kitchen operations, right, actually slow down their growth. So what we do here is to customize with our customers with all their needs, so that instead of focusing the resources in the kitchen operations, they can actually focus it on scaling the business. 1 year later, we hope to see that we do open retail chains for home users to purchase our products. Right now, we are only starting with e-commerce.
As restrictions gradually ease, PLG is trying to strengthen its logistics business outside of Singapore. They're looking to work with train operator Yu Xin O in China to provide last-mile deliveries across Europe. This is part of China's One Belt, One Road project, which aims to link Europe to Southeast Asia through land.
We don't see there's any holdback this Europe and China link. In fact, by next year, the railway will be traveling from Europe via China into Southeast Asia, typically to Lao country. So we are also involving in that.
We cannot expect from a pandemic, tragic as it might be, to just eliminate globalization. It will have an impact, but it will not destroy the pillars on which globalization rests. If you look at the development in trade, in August, China's foreign exports were almost up 14%. In September, again 2.8%. So, that doesn't really look as if everything will slow down.
Kelvin has also strategically built PLG's headquarters 2 minutes away from what will be the hub of Singapore's maritime industry.
With the Tuas Megaport ready next year, we are expecting the volume to grow to 65 million TEU, almost double the capacity. And there will be a lot of demand of additional warehouses space and transportation as well. So this Tuas Megaport is a breakthrough for Singapore to start handle all this stuff like mega vessels that a lot of shipping lines are building up right now. The immediate vertical that we are going into will be the container yard operation to have it fully automated. And cold chain, e-commerce, this will be the focus that we are going to focus on for the next 1 or 2 years.
For What If Foods, orders from restaurants are slowly picking back up.
Today we are at our collaborator, Mian Restaurant, a fantastic location out in the heartlands of Singapore. And what chef is going to do two dishes for us. One is going to use our moringa noodles. The second dish that he's going to do is going to be based on our palm nuts noodles. As we grow the business with them, actually the demand has picked up very, very nicely. Currently it's about 2 cartons of our products that we're going to send to him on a weekly basis.
What If's F&B clients are also paying more attention to the quality of ingredients and the supply chains.
COVID-19 is a wake-up call. People were frankly going to supermarkets to get whatever they can off the shelf. It actually felt to me like, hey, what's happening in Singapore? I tell myself that we need to do something to be more self-sufficient. What If Food, they're actually doing some of the healthier choice noodles, and most importantly, it's actually in Singapore. Being a Singapore homegrown brand, we should be supporting the Singaporean brand. So that's why I decided to do a collaboration with them.
Where we see ourselves 1 year from now, I guess that we are going to develop further our portfolio. For sure, we are going to bring more variants into our offering, and there is a huge need for us to pivot away from the animal protein side of things, not only because of the environment that is badly affected by it, but also the health aspect of things. Because going into the health crisis, kind of the consumers were a little bit more worried about their health rather than sustainability. So what we are actually seeing by talking to many, many consumers is this trend is here to stay. Oh look, here it is. Oh, fantastic. Look at that. We are currently working to be displayed on retail shops as well, and retail shelves as well. So that is definitely a huge target for us going forward. Going more into 2021, we are really looking into new regions and try to go beyond Singapore, trying to go into the neighboring states as well as beyond into Asian countries.
New products, new opportunities, and keeping supply chains secure. Food for thought as companies move ahead in uncertain times.